In this video, I want to share with you the exact skills that I use to make $60K a month consistently for the past 4 months. This will not be another skill guru video where I tell you this one skill that I sell and then tell you to go learn that one thing, you'll make $1 million. There's like a list of 30 plus skills I'm going to share with you. So you've probably never seen a skill video like this, but this is the harsh truth. You have to learn a lot of crap to make a lot of money. So if you do want to make a lot of money and learn a bunch of crap, well, hopefully this video helps you. So starting off with the first skill, graphic design. So I learned graphic design when I was in middle school. I was trying to make YouTube backgrounds for YouTubers way back in the day. I watched FIFA and Minecraft YouTubers, and I would pitch them on me designing their backgrounds so their channel looked cooler. That's how I learned graphic design, guys, just to be honest with you. Then I started making my own Minecraft servers, and I learned how to do the graphics for just that. So I learned graphic design, learned Photoshop, very useful skill. It only takes 20 hours to really learn it, like completely. So just spend the hours in 2 days, learn the skill, and you'll have it forever. Next is video editing. So another low leverage skill, but really nice when it stacks with other things that you learn. I learned how to just edit videos when I was really little. My dad was obsessed with making these funny little films. And so I would watch him edit videos and I would learn how to do that on his old computer. And so I learned video editing. The third thing I learned, this was years later, so like let's fast forward 10 years, was time management. So 3 years ago, I decided to take this game seriously. I knew that I wanted to make a ton of money online. I wanted to be these like billionaire entrepreneurs that you see on TV and stuff. That was my dream, to be the next Elon Musk. And I knew that if I wanted to be that, I had to learn how to manage my time. And that is a skill that almost no one has these days. So that is when I first started learning the essence of time management. Like, how do I use my time efficiently? Not just the basics, not just avoiding TikTok and watching corn and that kind of stuff, but how do I actually get the most out of my productivity? How do I get the most out of my hours? Learning how to like do tasks that were high leverage, like a little bit of input for massive output. That's when I first started to learn that. That was the start of my entrepreneurship journey, like 3 years ago. The next skill I learned was basic content creation. So I thought that to make a bunch of money, I had to have a huge following, which I now know is completely false. But back then I didn't know that. So I thought, well, I have to learn how to make content. So I started recording videos, doing things here and there, getting almost no views at all, but I learned basic content creation as a result of me having that belief. The next skill was basic iteration. So by creating content, I would watch a bunch of podcasts, and I saw a podcast from Mr. Beast, and he was advising YouTubers. He said, if you want to learn YouTube, all you have to do is make 200 videos and improve something each video. And so I learned basic iteration through that. As I started making YouTube videos, I would sit down and think, how can I improve this video in one simple way? And through doing that, I learned the power of just basic iteration, just improving things over time to see exponential outputs. Moving on from there, I started to focus on distraction removal. So although I'd already learned time management, and you may think, well, KJ, that's the same thing, right? Productivity? It's not, okay? Time management is maximizing what time you have. Distraction removal is getting more time for you to actually manage. And so although I knew how to be productive with a small amount of time, I needed more time. So I started focusing on distraction removal. I bought a flip phone. Actually, let me see if I still have it. Yeah, here's my flip phone. My plan is still running, by the way. Now I have a team, so it's kind of hard to run a team off a flip phone, but I used this for years. So I started focusing on how do I actually remove all distractions to focus on my goal. And skill number 7 was productivity and goal setting. A lot of you guys want to be productive and you have no clue what the word even freaking means. Productivity means making progress towards your goal. So if you don't have a specific goal, you can never be productive because you don't know what you're doing. If you make $1 million online, but your goal is to be an Olympic swimmer, then you wasted time. You were not productive. Right? So it all depends on your goal. If your goal is to make $1 million and make $1 million online, then you were extremely productive. So I learned basic goal setting and how to choose tasks that actually get me towards that goal. And from there, I started focusing on basic content positioning. So this is about a year into my entrepreneurship journey. I've been posting some content that was really terrible for a while. And I started to notice how important titles and thumbnails were. I saw some videos who had the same exact content, but had a different title and thumbnail would perform 100 times better than the other ones. All based on how they positioned their video. Obviously, the video had to be good, but you couldn't just have a good video. It had to be good and it had to be positioned well to actually get people to click on it. So I learned the real basics of just positioning things and how to kind of show people the value and stuff. From there, I learned basic value creation. So I started to realize that even if I positioned my videos in the right way, they still weren't valuable. So even if people clicked on them, they still didn't get views because the videos weren't great. So I started to learn, how do I actually create value for people? How do I identify a problem and how do I solve it? So this is very, very basics of just value creation. It started to become aware to me what that thing was. And from there, I learned resource creation. So at this point, I was making content, but I was making content about trading stocks. So to solve my own problem of not knowing how to trade stocks, I started to create resources. And I would use those resources to solve my own problems as a trader. So I would create a stock database with all these perfect setups that I could study. I would create skill trackers, and I just started creating all these resources to solve my own problems. And that's when I learned the skill of resource creation. From there, I started learning advanced content positioning. So although my career as a trader was not really taking off, I was trying to learn how to trade in a bear market, which is not great conditions, and I just sucked, to be honest. I started to run out of money. At this point, I had just left my job. I had made the leap. I was making a little bit of money online, and I made the jump to just trying to figure it out on my own. So that didn't work out so well. And thankfully, one of my good friends, Ed, employed me to do his titles and thumbnails. He has a couple million subscriber channel, and he had saw the work I was putting in. He saw the resources I was creating to learn these skills. And I started to learn advanced content positioning. So what he hired me to do was to go back and change all of his old thumbnails and titles to make them as clickable as possible. In some of those videos, I managed to get an extra 500 to 1 million views on just by changing the thumbnail and title. So I started to get really obsessed with advanced content positioning. Like, how do you position things to get way more output, get more views, more sales, whatever. And from there, I started to understand very basic systems. Because through that relationship with him, I started editing shorts and doing thumbnails. And my time started to get less and less. Like, I was running out of time because I had so much work to do. So I started creating systems to help me fulfill that work faster and still have a good output without as much input. So the systems helped me do things more efficiently. So I learned very, very basic system design. From there, I learned a little bit of management and outsourcing. So because I had so many shorts to do, what I did is I started to pay my brother and my good friend Caleb to edit some of the shorts. So I would outsource it to them, take a cut for making sure everything was up to quality and dealing with clients, and they would edit some of the shorts. So it was very basic stuff, nothing crazy, but I learned a little bit of how to manage and how to kind of inspire people and get the work done on time, and I learned small management. From there, that is when I discovered copywriting. You see, as I managed to get a little bit of my time back, I realized that none of these skills that I learned so far were these real cornerstone value skills. I didn't know how to actually make money for someone. This stuff was helpful, but only applied at a massive scale to people who already were making money. I wanted to learn, how do you actually get someone to pay you money for stuff? And that is when I discovered copywriting. And that is when my income really just exponentially exploded. Because as I had all of these basic skills, skills 1 through 13 already, when I learned copywriting, everything just took off. It was like pouring gas on the fire. My thumbnails got better. My titles got better. My content got better. My structuring stuff with clients got better. My outreach got better. Everything got better when I learned copywriting, because essentially what I was learning to do is learn how to persuade. And so by learning copywriting, everything changed. And this is when my income started to take off. So before copywriting, the maximum I had got to was 4 to 5K. My best month working 24/7, I would make 5K a month online, which is not terrible. But guys, when I say working 24/7, I genuinely mean I ended up in the ER. That's how hard I was working. And I would spend 12 hours a day just looking at a screen all day, every day, editing content, just grinding my face off. And I knew that I could not sustain that. And that's when I found copywriting, realized how high leverage it was, and everything changed from there. So once I learned copywriting, my income went from 4K all the way up to like 10K a month. It didn't happen immediately. It took a couple months for me to actually learn the skill. And then also to learn the second two skills, which would be basic cold outreach, like how to just send cold outreach to people, how to get over the fear of reaching out to people. And then also grind set. Grind set is a skill that a lot of entrepreneurs pick up like halfway into their first couple years. It's basically when all your beliefs and your skills kind of align to this one point and you just grind. And that's what I hit. As soon as I learned copywriting and saw like how I could just outreach to people and land clients and realized that the more time I spent doing it, the more money I would make, I just went sicko mode, grind set like crazy, quit going to the gym, quit eating healthy, just disgusting nerd grind for like a month, ended up in the ER 3 times in a week and had to pull back. But yeah, that's when I learned grind set. Now from that, I learned offer creation. So through working with my copywriting clients, I began to realize that the real money is made when you have an offer yourself, like when you offer something. And so I was helping grow my clients. I helped one client go from like pretty much nothing to hitting 90K months in the span of literally 2 months, like from like a fresh offer. And we were grinding our face off. But I realized that I was making just a couple thousand and he was making 87. So because he owned the offer, because he was the one who made the transformation, he had the product, he had all the money, rightfully so, right? It's his stuff. I was just helping him sell it. But I realized that if I wanted to make a lot of money, I need to have my own offer. And so that's when I learned how to actually create an offer that's valuable, how to actually create a transformation that people want to go through and want you to help them with. From there, I learned niche selection. So you can't really have an offer without a niche. So I started learning, what is a niche? How do you find your niche? What makes a niche so powerful? How do you select one? So I started learning niche selection. So from there, when I had an offer that I thought was good and I had a niche that I was focusing on, the people I wanted to serve that offer, I learned one-to-one coaching. So the first offer I launched was helping copywriters one-to-one. I would help them land clients, guaranteed, and help them fulfill clients. I would one-to-one coach them. And from there, I learned basic sales after that. So I started to learn how to take sales calls, how to actually convince people, not convince them, but how to persuade them to join my coaching. Like how to position the value I had in a way that was actually tangible enough and convincing enough that they wanted to buy it. So I learned basic sales, nothing crazy, but just very, very basic. After that, I learned basic speaking. So once I was taking 8 calls a day, like 3 sales calls and 4 one-on-one calls, I learned basic speaking just kind of naturally because I was doing so many calls. I was just speaking all day and I was seeing the feedback in real time and I was slowly improving my speech. Because if I wanted to coach better, I had to speak better because it was nothing but speaking. From there, I learned group coaching. So once I started to have a lot of one-on-one clients, I realized that having 10 calls a day was not sustainable and not very fun, and it wasn't helpful for everyone because they were all getting just worn out, tired KJ who said the same things 14 times a day. So now I transitioned to group coaching, which is, if you haven't group coached, by the way, it is an entirely different skill. You have to get really good at understanding where are the problems that almost everyone is struggling with, and how do I help people in a group setting where it helps everyone, not just one person. And that's a skill, and I'm still learning this skill because it's tough. Next is course creation. So once I had one-on-one coaching, and then sales, and I was learning speaking, then I had group coaching, I realized that in order to have the most impact with the littlest amount of time where I could focus on just having an even crazier impact, I had to learn how to make a course. Not just like a dookie course that makes yourself feel better about selling something. I mean like a genuine course that literally helps people get the exact result they want. So I started learning how to create a course. And that's around the same time I created Digital Persuasion School, which is basically like a huge 1-month practice of me making a course from scratch to really see how good I was and to get better. From there, I learned management. So this is a little bit more than basic management. Now I had like an actual team. I had my operations manager, Luca, at the time, who was not my ops manager. He was just helping me out with resources. But I learned how to outsource things that other people could do so I could focus on higher leverage tasks. And that was a game changer for me. Like during this time, I went from like 19, 17K to doing like 20K consistently and doing it in way less time. Like I had a lot more time. So after learning management, I started to learn a little bit of leadership. So now that I was actually managing these people, that's not well enough. You have to actually lead them. So I started wondering, how do I lead people? How do I inspire them? How do I help them reach their goals as we're all striving towards this big goal as a team? Learning basic leadership. Then I started to study influence. So not just how do you get people to buy stuff, but once people buy your stuff, how do you actually influence them to do the things? Because as a lot of you guys know, a lot of people buy programs and do nothing, which I don't want, by the way. Like if people pay me money, I want them to get the result. Like I want their life to change. I don't want to just collect money for the sake of collecting money. So I started to really dive deep. How do I influence people to do things that benefit them? Like how do I help them on their journeys? How do I make them actually do the work? So I started studying influence. Then I learned simplicity. And those of you who think simplicity is not a skill, you don't know it yet. Simplicity is crazy. When you learn how to simplify your life, your systems, your product, anything in general, you unlock a master key to the world. Because simplicity allows you to scale. It allows you to have streamlined systems. Like simplicity is everything. And at this time, my stuff was so complex. I had like 2 offers. I had random coaching and program that had so much stuff in it, but it wasn't like a simple, streamlined process. Like it was just a mess. And so I really learned simplicity through watching people like Charlie Morgan and through him mentoring me with his course and with his mastermind. Simplicity was huge. From there, I learned real value creation. This is what I'm working on right now. So I created value in the past, very basic. Just solving these like problems. Like it just wasn't good. I wasn't actually creating like real tangible value. And at this time, I started to learn, how do I really identify a problem that is fractal across a niche? So a problem that all of you guys have. How do I find that problem? And how do I completely solve it in the best way possible? So for instance, I made a YouTube video on how to build a sales page in ClickFunnels. That is one small problem that a niche has that I completely solved. And that video didn't get that many views. But I can tell you from the comments that I created an immense amount of value. Because anyone who didn't know how to use ClickFunnels watched that video and learned completely how to do it. So I'm now creating real value, not just cool stuff like, oh, the best method to make money online and, oh, go do drop shipping. Like, no, I learned how to actually solve real problems for people completely for a niche. From there, I learned systems thinking. This is what has allowed me to really turbocharge all my results. By looking at life through the lens of a system, you can find the outputs you want and then design a process to get more and better of those exact outputs. This is how I create so many videos a day. It's because I've systemized everything. This is how I'm able to run a company alongside producing more content than anyone else. I produce more content than professional content creators. Just simply because I understand systems and I've built systems and I've iterated them to get me the exact outputs that I want with the littlest amount of inputs. So from systems thinking, I really focused on belief shifting. Now, this is something I've been doing for the whole 3 years, my entrepreneurship journey. But it wasn't until I really started looking into this and taking Charlie's course, like his mindset course in Easy Grow, where I really started to understand the power of shifting beliefs. Because every single action you take is based on the belief you have. So if you want to take the right actions, you have to have the right beliefs. And so I started learning, how do I actually change my beliefs? Therefore, giving me the right actions, therefore giving me the perfect results that I want. And since that has happened, everything has just increased exponentially. Now when I see myself doing an action that I don't like, or that's not leading to the result I want, I analyze the belief, I dissect it, I replace it, I upgrade that belief with a belief that's actually going to give me the action I want. I then brainwash myself to actually believe that belief, and then I get the action. It sounds crazy and woo-woo, but it's just simple. You only act on what you believe. So if you change your beliefs, you're going to change how you act. This goes back to Atomic Habits, where they talk about how if you want to change your habits, you got to change your identity. Instead of going to the gym, become an athlete. And then you'll just go to the gym because that's what athletes do. It's the same exact thing. Change your beliefs. And now, the last skill that I've learned so far is advanced iteration. So once I understood systems thinking and how things work as a system, and then understand how to shift beliefs, now I can iterate like freaking powerful, like a lightning bolt. Like if something's not happening the way I want it to happen, I just iteration, completely shock my belief system, change all the beliefs, fix the system, and then just everything improves. And I do that over and over again, like every week. So advanced iteration allows me to change the process and the inputs in my systems to then get exponential outputs that I want, truly. And so that is all the skills that I've learned so far to make 60K a month. And I'll update this list when I make 100K, 250K a month and see what else I've learned since then. But I'm guessing it's probably just consistency on all these things that I've already learned. So I'm sure there's other stuff, but we'll see. If you learn something, I want you to post the skill you're going to learn next in the comments, because we're not here to feel good about ourselves. I don't want you guys to watch me and just live out your dreams through watching KJ. I want you to be making a ton of money with me, bro. So put out in the comments what the frick you're going to learn next. What skill do you need? I'll see you guys next video.